Hey there hunters, Lord here, back with another Monster Hunter Wilds video. In today's video we're going to be going over a spread bowgun set to make Omega clears extremely easy. Whether you're just struggling to clear Omega or you need a consistent way to get quicker time so you can farm up materials for both of the armor sets and the weapons, this is a really solid set. Now I'm not here to claim that this is the best set or the fastest way to do it. This video is more aimed for players playing solo with the support hunters, since these support hunters, if you're using them correctly, will have aggro most of the time, will be buffing you and whatnot. You want to really focus on damage, and these spread 3 bowguns are a great way to do that. Again, if you're playing in a group with your friends or you're able to communicate a little bit better with the hunters that you have, this set will not be the best way to do it. But in my testing solo, I was able to easily finish in under 14 to 15 minutes on regular Omega, without worrying too much and without playing all that cleanly, as I'm sure you'll see in the background footage. We'll be rocking the same setup for both heavy and light bowgun. Heavy bowgun is definitely a little bit faster overall, but light bowgun offers you that extra mobility. So I'll leave the choice up to you, but I will show the set with both. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So of course, our go-to bowguns are the Rebel Stopper for light bowgun and Insurrection Cannon for heavy bowgun. Both of these come from Seregios, and they come with these skills Evading, Reload, as well as Blade Scale Loading. So anytime you perform a dodge, you will reload 1 shot out of your clip. And then if you perfectly dodge an attack, you will get 3 extra shots on your spread that deal plus 40% damage, making these far and above the strongest spread 3 bowguns in the game. Now I know a lot of people are turned off by the heavy recoil of spread, but it is still extremely strong. If you don't want to play this way, that's okay, then this definitely isn't the video for you. There's a lot of really strong options otherwise, such as dual blades, hunting horn, sword and shield, and more that you could definitely try out. But this video, again, is going to be focused around spread. As far as the armor goes, we'll be using the Guardian Fulgur Helm and Male Beta, the Ray Sand Braces and Sand Coil Gamma, the Uthaduna Wild Greaves Gamma, and then my talisman has Spread Power Shots 1 and Burst level 1. Technically, all you need is either Burst, Agitator, or Latent Power at level 1 on your Rarity 8 charm. However, if you're unable to get this, then that is okay. We will talk a little bit more about that when we jump over to the weapon decorations. Now my mantle of choice is Rocksteady, however you can theoretically go with whatever you like. If you want the Evasion mantle to help boost that blade scale loading as well as your iframes, you're more than welcome to use that. I just find Rocksteady to be a little bit more comfy, especially during the Nercylla portion of the Omega fight. Now as far as decorations go on the light bowgun, I went for critical boost level 5 and precise level 1 because we also get a precise level 1 in my charm of choice here. However, if you are unable to fit in 1 level of ballistics into your charm, then swap out the critical jewel 2 for a precise jewel 2. Ballistics 2 is pretty much mandatory as far as spread bowgun goes, as it allows us to shoot from point blank and gives us a little bit of extended range, just overall making it a lot comfier to shoot at any range that Omega may be at. As far as the heavy bowgun goes, I went for an opener / iron wall, an iron wall jewel 2, and a precise jewel. Again, 2 levels of ballistics is a must-have. Now the reason we didn't go for opening shot on the light bowgun is because the light bowgun damage loop is a lot more centered around the chaser shots, where you shoot once, then press circle or B to do a sort of crouching double shot, and the second shot doesn't get the boost from opener. We're not going to spend as much time on the first shot of the clip like we would with the heavy bowgun, which is why opener is slotted in here. Although if you really feel like you need guard up level 3, you can swap the opener iron wall for a shield iron wall. It won't make a huge difference, but that extra 3 levels of opening shot is pretty nice. Again, it's going to be completely up to your choice and what you have on your talisman. And then in the armor, we have 2 evasion jewels, 3 protection jewels, 2 challenger jewels, a throttle jewel, and then my choices of level 1 decorations after that are the adapt, shockproof, and recovery jewels. Again, I'm using Rocksteady quite a bit, so that extra recovery jewel there when I take chip damage or get red health while I'm with the Rocksteady or just in the fight at all in general allows me to recover that red health just a little bit faster. If you're going to be playing with just the support hunters, then you don't necessarily need the shockproof jewel. I believe all the support hunters have shockproof innate anyway, so I would highly recommend the 3 protection jewels and the adapt jewel. Again, your charm may differ, so you may or may not have these extra 2 armor slots, but the adapt jewel makes it so you don't have to drink any hot drinks, and divine blessing is pretty much a must-have for how hard Omega hits. Now, as far as skills go in the light bowgun, we again have critical boost level 5, ballistics level 2. I have spread shots on my charm, and then you have blade scale loading and evading reload. If you're using the heavy bowgun, you'll have opening shot and guard at level 3, ballistics level 2, then of course blade scale loading and evade reload, and spread/power shots if you're lucky enough to get a very strong talisman. But as far as the armor skills go, we have agitator level 5 for plus 20 raw attack and plus 15% crit when Omega is enraged. We have latent power level 3. This activates every 2 minutes and with 2 pieces of the Ray Dow armor on. It will last for 2.5 minutes upon activation. It'll give us an additional 30% crit, so we're at 45% already. Then of course maximum might level 3. Now a huge reason why we went for 2 pieces of the Guardian Fulgur armor is for second wind, which we'll talk a little bit about later, but it makes maximum might a lot easier to keep up, especially with the shoot and shuffle style of these bowguns using the evade reload. That's another 30%, so already we are at 75%. Add on the 20% that comes on each of these bowguns, and we have 95% critical chance, which is again why I opted for a few levels of crit boost in the light bowgun. Now, of course, you're welcome to go for crit boost in the heavy bowgun if you would like. If you find you're not guarding all that much, the iron wall is super easy to drop, but I like to have guard 3 for this fight just for that little bit of extra comfort. We of course have Divine Blessing and Quick Sheath at level 3, Evade Window at level 2, Evade Extender at level 2, so we can get away from those huge AoE attacks and also dodge through the lasers very easily, which again will activate Blade Scale Loading for 3 shots of Spread 3 that deal plus 40% damage. We then have Burst at level 1 and Adaptability at level 1. Then of course, if you have the extra slots, Recovery Speed and Shock Absorber are a decent idea. As far as the set bonuses go, we already talked about Ray Dow's Voltage with the 2-piece. Thunderous Roar 1 extends Latent Power's duration from 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes. Latent Power again activates every 2 minutes in a fight or after taking a total of 130 damage. Now, as soon as it runs out, that 2-minute timer will start again, and that 130 damage will start again, so you can reactivate it much quicker if you're getting hit a lot, which I don't necessarily recommend, but that is a way to keep it a little bit more active. Theoretically, though, we will have about 50% uptime on this skill, which is pretty nice. It also gives us some stamina reduction, which again will help with maximum might uptime. But of course, we have Fulgur Anjanath's Will at 2-piece. We get Second Wind 1. This gives us a small stamina bar on the end of our already existing stamina bar. As long as your stamina doesn't drop below this tiny bar, maximum might will stay active, allowing us to again shoot, slide, shoot, slide. So maximum might is going to be active pretty much 100% of the time, provided you're not panic rolling, 3 or 4 times in a row. Which again, you shouldn't have to worry about too much, as we have Evade Window and we have Evade Extender. Makes it very easy to dodge a lot of the attacks and get out of the AoEs in 1 or 2 dodges. Of course, if you want to extend your iframes, you can eat the Hot Azuz Cuisine in the Grand Hub, which gives you the Tumbler Meal High. This extends your iframes even further. And it also comes with the Carver Meal, which allows you to get extra carbs, so more chances at those Omega nodules that are super low drop rate in order to complete all of the different armors and weapons from Title Update 3. So now that we've talked about these sets and the meals that we can eat in order to help beat Omega very easily, let's go ahead and jump into the hunt. So in the first area, there's not a lot special you can do. I like to open up with the new Pictomancer skill just so that way I can start working towards the Mog of the Ages, which I like to use as soon as Nercylla spawns in Area 3. You have a lot of free time here though, as Omega kind of turns around and looks at you. So you can go straight into dealing damage here. I like to shoot at the legs. It's the highest damage shot type for spread, of course, is to hit the front legs on Omega. Again, this is a guide for solo with support hunters, so you're going to want to let Alessa with the lance take the aggro here, so don't shoot the head too awful much unless you are purposely trying to drag Omega somewhere, but we'll talk a little bit more about that once we get to Area 2. So for Area 1, our main goals are to just shoot the legs a whole bunch, get him to transition, don't take any hits if you can avoid it. Then we can jump straight over to Area 2. Another huge tip for Areas 2 and even beyond is to grab these Thunder Slinger ammos that you see laying around the arena. When Omega goes up and does his giant beam attack that inflicts stun and basically one-shots you, you can shoot these at him, and usually the first one will drop him in one shot, and then the subsequent ones will take 2 or sometimes even more to drop him out of the air, but you can completely avoid his beam attack this way. Highly recommend using these and keeping them in your slinger. Now, Area 2 has an area with up to 2 rock drops. I've noticed some issues in multiplayer with them not spawning in or showing correctly for certain players that are not the host. But since we're solo, that shouldn't matter too much. Your main goals here, again, are to shoot Omega in the legs a whole bunch, let Alessa keep the aggro, and then if you can, try to drag him over to these boulder drops. They do a ton of damage and do a fairly long knockdown. Also in Area 2, he will go into his Panto Crater mode, where he glows red on his undercarriage, and you will need to pop a certain number of wounds on his legs. I think it's either 3 or 4 to knock him out of this mode, and that will also make an extended knockdown where you can just deal a ton of damage. In this mode, he'll be super aggressive and very spammy, so this might be the spot where you shoot him in the face a bunch to take some aggro so you can drag him under those boulder drops. But all in all, this area is fairly straightforward. For most of the hunt, we just want to allow the support hunters to take aggro, deal the damage. By just shooting him in the legs, you'll almost never have to worry about anything except for the sort of like plus pattern fire he will do from his undercarriage. And this allows us to move on to Area 3 pretty much unscathed. The start of Area 3 plays very similarly to the previous stages of the fight. You're just going to again shoot the legs. If he's under a rock drop, try and knock it down on him. Now what I will recommend is the big rock drop in the back. You're going to want to save that till after you defeat Nercylla. Of course, once you deal enough damage, he'll get up, fly away, spawn in Nercylla. This is where I like to use either the 2nd level or 3rd level Pictomancer spell is on Nercylla, and also to help take care of some of the ads that are being spawned around the arena. Anytime Nercylla is near a Cactuar, you want to be popping that for extra damage. And the little Morbles, these other fat, round, green guys, will deal paralysis damage, so if you can get Nercylla inside their little red cone, it will instantly paralyze Nercylla, allowing you to slay it super easily. All in all, this isn't too ridiculous of a fight with this heavy bowgun, especially as you can just kind of block the big spammy beam attacks that the Nercylla clone does during stage 3. Now, as soon as Nercylla dies and the shield is dropped, Omega Planetus will do his ult. The first thing you need to do when the ult is over is find this rock drop back here. It's the crumbling structure, and drop it on him. This works just like the boulders we used in Area 2, gives us a big long knockdown to deal a bunch of damage, as well as dealing nearly 4,000 damage itself, so I would highly recommend doing this. Basically, if you drop it as soon as he finishes his ult, it should always hit him. And then while in this area, again, we go back to kind of our initial thing, let these support hunters take the aggro away and shoot this guy in the legs until he transitions to Area 4. Of course, as many of you will know, Area 4 is a very spammy and difficult area, so it is super important to allow Alessa to take the aggro here. If there is a hunter with aggro, then when he does his MRV missile spam, where he does like a couple missiles in a row and it's kind of all over the place, you'll only shoot one at the person who has aggro. And while this is a little bit more imperative around Savage Omega, it's still nice to know for regular Omega, you're just going to be shooting the legs here a whole bunch. Try and pop the wounds to get him out of his Panta Crater mode. This area of the hunt usually takes the longest out of any of the stages. In my runs, it was about 5 to 5.5 minutes of the 13.5 minutes it took me to kill this guy. So it's going to be a slog for sure. But if you just play smart, keep your spacing, dodge through the lasers, and use your evade extender to get away from those large AoE attacks like the missiles and the fire, you really should have no issues, again completing this hunt easily in under 14 minutes. I didn't play very cleanly in this background footage, I got hit quite a bit, and I was still able to finish in just shy of 13.5 minutes. Now again, this is not the fastest way to kill him. If you have friends and you guys are able to communicate, one guy on aggro, one guy on heals, 2 guys going crazy with damage, you can definitely push this way, way lower. I mean, even Savage Omega with a good squad can be done easily in under 12 minutes and can be even pushed under sub 10. But again, this is a solo farming guide for people using support hunters, people who need materials and don't necessarily have the friends to help them out, or they don't want to go in with randoms and be worried about them wasting carts. Of course, real people are going to do more damage, but real people also count as carts. So if you're worried about going through carts very quickly, you're going to want the support hunters, because even if Omega does his ultimate attack and all 4 of you die, it only counts as 1 cart, because again, the support hunters don't count towards your feint total. So that makes it a super easy solo farming method for Omega. And of course, like I talked about earlier, if you have the Carver meal skill, you're going to be getting a few extra carbs for sure. And once you get comfortable enough, you can start throwing in lucky vouchers, getting your clears so you can get a bunch of extra rewards so you can farm up those armors and weapons super efficiently without having to worry pretty much at all about running out of feints. So yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy, be sure to drop a like down below. It's a totally free way to support the channel. If you're watching on mobile, be sure to swipe over from the comments and hype the video up. This is a new feature that YouTube has added to help small creators like me get a better boost in the algorithm. Again, it's totally free and supports the channel. If you're new to my content, new to Monster Hunter, or if you'd like to see more guides just like this one, then be sure to subscribe so that way you never miss an upload. With all that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I wish you all a good day and happy hunting.